I heard the tale of my birth on numerous occasions, about how I announced my existence into this world with screams, loud shouts that were like the echoes of resounding cymbals that kept mankind and the whole of creation at a standstill. Tears slept on my cheeks. Boiling water of salted emotions gushed out of the terrains of my slippery eyelids. Creatures should begin to ponder on the reason why men, who were blessed with these much creative accessories, even with this intellect that made them journey into the gate of insanity, filled with pride, rage, and a will to possess beyond what the palm can gather, and the intention to refuse the urge to live as one. So men built gates that were locked by constitutions, which bred undesirable hatred and borderlines that fed insanity. When I heard the voice of the child, Papa Nnukwu, my grandfather, said, I thought Nkechi had conceived the child on the flowing river of rebellion. It was fierce. The witty humor of my grandfather expanded the depth of my imaginations, as though I was to envy those who were present at the scene of my birth. The joy of seeing another grandchild of mine was very special. My grandmother supports, trying too hard to prove to the world that she had proficiency in grammatical articulation of the English language. But the truth be told, when words of the foreigner's language escaped from her lips, they spread shock waves like windy thunderstorms, sending gatherings apart, unlike when she spoke in Igbo language. But my grandmother refuses to be on the back foot among her peers. According to her, she one day will speak to the nation leaders when her grandchildren become great men and women. She fantasizes with pride. You needed to see Nkechi's face, Papa Nnukwu said in excitement, as though he was reliving the moment. Those eyes, my grandmother added. She used them to stare into Kelechukwu's eyes. It was such a sight to behold. I saw my future and offspring stare into each other's eyes, a galaxy of human emotional climax. My husband, with all this your English, remember that Nkechi came out of my womb. My grandmother protested slightly, joking but not grinning. It was one of those mornings where my grandparents argued with one another over the ownership of past events like new lovers. They once argued about how my palms were greased with a burning balm of oil that warmed my soul, guarding my tender body and spirit from the marching doom, the laughter of mockery at a defenseless, tiny creature which dwelt side by side the raging voices of a crying stream. Papa Nnukwu claimed to be the day's hero, while Mama said that Papa Nnukwu's massage was like a leper trying to get cleansed. Another usual tale about my birth was the crucial timing in which my conception occurred. It was in the very period when able-bodied men from Ogido and Umuna were drafted for war in the Western world to help fight some people who never stepped their foot on a square meter inch of our lands. I heard they were from Germany, a conglomeration of earthly chaos, but my father was spared because his wife had just taken in. And the white lord in charge of Umuna did not support the idea of seeing unprotected pregnant women within his jurisdiction, a rare occurrence compared to other districts by our side, although this protection did not exempt them from paying the taxes. The sky was beautified by the appearance of the rainbow, they often say, and to compound the mystery, there was an heavy downpour of the rain, An incident that had not taken place for about 6 full months before my birth, even after I was told that Chukwu had rejected all the sacrifices offered to him by the chief priest for reasons I was not told. The world must have heard his breath as I was born, so I thought, and often made a reference to these in my classroom while bragging to my friends and contemporaries about my illusionary mutant birth and immaculate conception. Kelechukwu. This one that was crying and screaming on the top of his voice like he was already protesting the terrible conditions we find ourselves in. My aunt, Auntie Amanda, often said. Auntie Amanda was one of my favorite aunts. She seemed as though she had inherited Papa Nuku's wisdom and endless sarcasms. Very true, Amanda. Papa Nuku would always add. When I heard his crying voice, I was like, that is my voice, oh. The voice of one struggling against oppression. Papa, you and hyperballs. My mother smiled as she had been moving to and fro, making the dishes and also ensuring that the dining table was properly set. She was assisted by Amanda, my aunt, and with the children of the home who had come for the Christmas holidays and the New Year celebrations. Kelechukwu was born in the best hospital in our town, Papa. It was not a small, low-budget hospital in our compound. Some inn filled with the smell of burning herbs or some local oil. So I don't understand what you think you'll be protesting about at birth, my mother buttressed. Yes, I know that Kelechukwu was not born in a low-budget hospital or a local inn, Papa Nuku answered. But this time, his usual humor had been overtaken by a sharp look, a stern gaze at nothing in particular, a replica of Che Guevara's Guerrero Heroico as taken by Albert Coda in Havana. This gaze reflected a deep pierce within his heart. But this child was born in a period where the bodies of the parents and the siblings of children born before him lay in the pool of their own blood. On various streets across Umuahia, Ada, that is what I'm talking about. A drop of tears fell from his eyes. Umuahia was of a truth, a combination of mixed experiences. There were numerous tales about how one could be enjoying the coolest form of peace and tranquility in one moment. Then the next moment, that individual could be swept away by the crude flatulence and the expression of violence of no particular origin, with no respect to geographical locations. I was not yet conceived by Papa Nuku's Ada, which was a nickname my siblings and I gave my mother, when this famous Ogiro and Umuna warfare took place. But the survival of me and my siblings after this almost never-ending war must have been a miracle, or maybe a result of the bourgeois position my family occupied in Umuahia as at the time of this unfortunate occurrence. Or could it be that I am a special child indeed?